The odd thing about this gospel from John is that it's actually the only one of the four gospels that includes the washing of the feet and excludes the institution narrative of the Eucharist. Take, eat, take, drink, this is my body, this is my blood for you. And most people would respond to that by saying, oh yeah, well, in John's gospel, there's John chapter 6, right? Amen, amen, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you do not have life within you. For my flesh is true food and my blood is true drink. So, that kind of takes care of it, right? The washing of the feet is just something else that Jesus did on Holy Thursday and that John wanted to simply include. And yet, if John were so concerned about the Eucharist, well then why leave out that part at the Last Supper? And every year for Holy Thursday, when we celebrate the institution of the Eucharist and the institution of the priesthood and Christ's call to charity, we always hear not Mark, not Matthew, not Luke, but John and the washing of the feet. So much for the Catholic centrality of the Eucharist and the ministerial priesthood. Let's at least hear Jesus' words. Do you realize what I have done for you? Notice Jesus' first action. He rose from supper and took off his outer garment. Pretty straightforward. Tithemi in Greek is the word he laid down his garments. Now, this is not the first time that John used that word. Of course, Jesus had said, I tithemi my life. I lay down my life that I may take it up again. And right before he said that, the good shepherd tithesin his life for his sheep. He lays down his life for his sheep. No one takes it from me, but I tithemi my life of my own accord. So John is therefore making explicit through this use of that word that the foot washing mimics the cross. It isn't just an act of humble service, though it is very much indeed, but it is also a prophetic image of what Jesus will do when he will lay down not just his outer garments, but his very life. For what purpose? To just wash the disciples' feet? No. To wash us with his very blood. What do we profess that we encounter at the holy sacrifice of the Mass? Everybody? The sacrifice at Calvary. The cross that we encounter at every holy Mass. And what happens when we come to Mass and receive Jesus' body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist? Well, according to John's account of the Last Supper, at the Mass, Jesus washes our souls with his very blood. Just as the blood of the Passover lamb would save the Israelites from death and set them free from slavery to Pharaoh, so too the blood of the new covenant lamb, Jesus, saves us from eternal death and sets us free from slavery to sin. At every communion, we let Jesus mark the doorposts of our souls anew and wash us once again for a new life. And so he asks us, do you realize what I have done for you? This past Monday at the Diocesan Chrism Mass, I was able to renew my priestly promises, the promises that I made on the day of my priestly ordination. For Father Don, this would have been his 40th renewal of promises, and so I pray that I can be as faithful and as dedicated as a priest as he has been. But what hit me during this renewal of my promises was the very simple line, prompted by love of him. Why? Well, to be honest, it's difficult to put into words. It's about the same experience perhaps that I see when I see a married couple go back to that place in their hearts where they first committed themselves to each other on their wedding day. Prompted by love of you. It's not just an infatuation with an object or an idea, but with a person. A desire for union with the other. To lay down one's life for the other. Tithemi. It's love. It's personal love. And it's but a taste of Christ's love for us. So here I would like to point out the significance of John's gospel once again. Whereas the other gospel accounts portray the priestly ordination of the 12 apostles through Jesus' words, "Do this in memory of me," John again takes another subtle, but perhaps deeper or more striking perspective with the foot washing. For if we turn to Exodus chapter 40, Jesus' actions take on a whole new dimension. Then God said to Moses, "Bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and there wash them with water. Clothe Aaron with the sacred vestments and anoint him, thus consecrating him as my priest." Jesus was not only encapsulating his crucifixion and the Eucharist in the washing of the feet, but also the ordination of his first priests. We see this further with Jesus' response to Peter. "Unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance with me." Now compare that with Numbers chapter 18. The Lord said to Aaron, "You shall have no inheritance with me in their land." You shall have no inheritance in their land, nor own any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the sons of Israel. In other words, the old covenant priests had to let God provide for their needs such that he was their inheritance. And in a similar way, the new covenant priests had to let Jesus wash their feet. For in letting Jesus wash them, they would receive their inheritance, which was to be none other than Jesus himself. He is their inheritance. Just as I, as celibate priest of the new covenant, need to let Jesus do all the washing and all the healing in my ministry, and let Jesus himself be my only inheritance. Prompted by love of him, men follow the call to the priesthood. With all of this packed into the washing of feet, it's no wonder that we read it every Holy Thursday. For each portion of this gospel, Jesus' example of charity, the connection to the cross, the connection to the Eucharist, and the institution of the priesthood, all of them point us to one thing: Jesus' tithemi, God's radical love for us. It is at each Mass, at each communion, that we have the opportunity to encounter Jesus again, laying down his life for us. And then, having received this tithemi, we are freed to live life anew. Do you realize what I have done for you? I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you also should do.